Corinne's giving me the thumbs up. We have Corinne is producing today. Producer 1 and 2 are back home napping. Producer 3, he's off for the holidays. So I brought in producer 4, Corinne Quiggle. So this is our end of year podcast, and we're doing something a little bit different with this one. That I'm taking kind of a page out of Tim Ferriss's notebook, and then I'm sort of doing a best of 2023, where every guest that we've had on is going to get sort of one of my favorite clips that they had from their episode. Just going to string them together. Maybe it'll work out and it'll be awesome. Maybe it won't. You guys let me know. Either way, thank you guys so much for sticking with us throughout the year. As I was compiling the clips for all the episodes, I was looking back and I was like, holy cow, I can't believe everyone stuck with us through 30 different camera angles. Audio is terrible. Our studio, now that we've had this studio, going back through the previous ones, I was like, man, our studio needed an upgrade. But now we've had the full facelift and it looks great. So 2024 should be a great year. But I hope you guys had a great Christmas. I hope you have a super happy New Year. Thank you, as always, for listening to the show. Onward and upward we go. Shoots.
Mine is called The Helper, which it relates a lot to how I feel outside of volleyball, which is just like I like relationships and friendships and like connecting with people and all this stuff. And then on the court, it says like under stress, like where you go, and it takes me to the one that's called the Challenger. Okay. And I totally like agree with that. Like I just turn into like, especially if I get like a little angry or like, I don't know, ref makes a bad call, like I like flip a switch and I'm like, let's go, like so focused and like fired up. It's crazy because like, I don't know, it's just a competitive side of me, but I've definitely had moments where that like can make me too fired up and like start to make it like mistakes and stuff. But I definitely need to have a little bit of fuel and fire under my belt to put me in like my good zone. Yeah. So,
you know, playing with different partners and traveling with different people, you know, different personalities. And like I said, it ended up working out great. And I'm so lucky to have had the season I ended up having. But yeah, there's just a lot of phone calls to different, you know, what should I do? Oh, and then people say, oh no, don't do that. And in my gut, I feel like I should. And so, you know, I learned a lot about how to travel, how to play with different people, trusting my gut. That's been a big thing. Like, this feels wrong. Maybe I shouldn't do it, or you know, I feel like I should be doing this, and I took a lot of leaps of faith, and they ended up going in the right direction. So yeah, a lot of ups and downs, but it ended up being a positive for sure.
It's a secret.
No,
the secret
it's not. No,
it's
a secret. No, it was always because like when we used to come early in the morning, Dougie Johnstone used to go, oh, what, secret training? Because we would be here, we were early and maybe like squat and maybe run a little bit. Yeah. And then after that, I always kind of like, always when somebody, because people, I guess over the years kind of come to me on the side from their club. Uh-huh. You know, so it's not like, and then even Carly's here, not in the mainland. Right. And then people go, hey, how do you get so good? And I like the answer, secret training. I just like the answer. But I'm just joking. But that was kind of where. So Dougie Johnstone was the one who always kind of, hey, what are you doing? Because we would play nooners, and anything to get a little edge. Like you go run around the park, or
we're out doing the secret training. That's why you beat me today, getting your extra reps in.
And then when Carly started doing training, and then we started talking about, because I wasn't back at UH. And I'm like, we need to get a few more people to come and train with us. Yeah. And then she's like, you got to go on Instagram. And I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, okay.
What is
that? She's like, just get on there. And then we just started posting, and we just started, you know, putting secret training. And because
that'll work.
It worked a lot.
It did, yeah.
I feel like when I was a freshman, Sav would hear me say stuff like this all the time, but I really only cared about like winning, and I still do to an extent, but I think I've changed in the way that like I don't have to be like perfect all the time, because I think that's where I've like struggled the most, is like if I don't win, then my day was like ruined. And at a point I mean, it's definitely taken me like growing up to realize that I'm not gonna win like every single game I play in. And winning doesn't really mean the whole world of like in the grand scheme of life. So I feel like that's honestly one of the biggest things, is just like transforming from that my freshman year to my senior year.
I used to let myself get really mad when I'd make errors or I'd do things, and then I just would see it snowball. And then I realized at a point, I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm just not going to be successful with this. I just always felt like mentality is what wins and loses games. And I felt like that was something I really tried to do last year, was just stay steady as much as I could. I realized how much, like, if you show your emotion, it's so visible to the team you're playing. And that's something I've always tried to catch on teams that I play. Like, if it's visible, if you ace someone and how they react to it is kind of how you see a bit of how they're feeling inside. And, like, if I see someone get really mad, like, I know they're frazzled and you can pick on them. So I've always felt like, obviously, playing with two great players, playing with Meg and playing with Julia, like, I'm going to be target, and I knew that going into every game. And I was okay with that, because I was like, as long as I, like, show the other team that I'm not upset or I'm not frazzled or that they're not getting in my head, because sometimes they absolutely would be.
Yeah.
And, like, I would be freaking out. But as long as I didn't show it, I knew that they didn't know that. And so that's always tried to keep everything inside, and then I can let it out after the game and I can reassess. But as long as, like, the other team doesn't know whatever's going on in my head, then I'm going to be just fine. Like, I feel like Meg's, like, one of the best people I see at it. Like, you never know what's going on in Meg's mind. Like, you never know if she's frazzled, if she's feeling, like, any emotion. You don't know when she's playing, and I think that's why one of the huge components of how good she is because you can't pick on her, really, because she just stays steady.
Yeah, I would just always ask, like, questions of, like, okay, well, why is that guy doing that? Or, like, even with, like, sponsor stuff, it was like, luckily I have a lot of really good business people in my ear too. So, like, when it came to sponsors, it was like all of them are telling me, like, dude, there's plenty of stuff out there. Like, there's plenty of money out there for everybody. Like, you don't have to wait until you're good to try and find that type of stuff. Like, if you're a good business person, it'll happen. Like, it has almost nothing to do with volleyball at that point.
Right.
So then you start to think about everything else, and I've always taken volleyball so seriously, like in high school, college, almost to a negative where, like, I'm too serious, right? And, like, I'm hard on teammates, like you guys aren't working hard. Like, I was that person because I was working super hard, and I understand now that, like, I'm gonna work as hard as I want to work, which is hard, and I'm not gonna make anybody else do what they don't want to do as long as they're gonna give me what I need, right? And luckily in beach, it's like you have one other guy, so if he's not cutting it, it's like, you know, you don't worry about that really with the guys. Like with Paul, like, you don't have to worry about that. Like, he's gonna be in shape, he's gonna train, like, and he's a world-class athlete indoors. Like, he's done it, like, he's been at, like, a really high level indoors. So, like, not worried about him by any means, you know. And so for me, it's like I've just always taken it so serious that it never made sense for me to not take it seriously.
This is probably a later start than I've ever done. Usually I start probably the first week of January, but it's just how kind of our lives have been. And that's, like, that's a weird part, like, that doesn't get talked about as much or looked on. Like, people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes for everything.
Yeah.
And they just see us as volleyball players and that we should be doing volleyball 24/7. But I think this was a much needed kind of longer break, really, to regroup and, like he said, he's refreshed, rejuvenized, and go to work this year.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Value proposition was that I'm going to outwork anybody.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not as physically blessed and talented as them, but I will outwork anybody. And that was what I did. And that's how I got where I got, because to this day, you know, a lot of better athletes out there, but I wanted it more and I worked harder.
And I think that's still, I think almost being too talented or too big or too whatever can almost be a curse, because it cripples you in that you never had to work that hard.
I agree.
Until you get to the highest level.
Yeah.
And then you need to figure out how to work hard. But then it might be
it's
too
late. Yeah, right. but I had to do that my entire life. I was undersized indoor. I always had to work hard, and you know, that was just what I did. So when I had the opportunity and saw what was ahead of me and saw the goals, I would watch the top players. I'm like, okay, what are they doing that I can do as well or better than them? And then, you know, where can I pass them up? And that I studied the game. A lot of girls lose at a tournament and just leave. Yeah. I'm like, why aren't you watching the girls that are winning? Because they're doing something you're not.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to tell them how to win because I'm out there trying to win too. But, it was just kind of, I learned along the way.
Yeah. You're firing me up, Polly.
Okay, good. Let's go. I love it.
It's a lot.
That's
We
an
are
incredible
not
balancing
friends
act.
anymore. We are sisters. We have just, like, that's kind of the way it is. I don't know, like, this is going to sound weird, but it's like the longest relationship that's like not just like a normal friendship, but not like a family member, but that I've ever had. Like, that's really embarrassing, but like the longest one. And I was just like, I don't know, like looking at our relationship, and I was like, I want to have like Kristen as a friend, Kristen as a business partner, Kristen as a partner, and it's just like all those three things are different. So like this last week we like went out and like had a non-volleyball dinner. And so like putting those into our schedule of like, we can't talk about volleyball. Like as soon as one of us brought it up, it was like, no, you can't. Yeah. Like we're not answering it. We're not talking about it. So I think that is super helpful. I think like sometimes having breaks, like last year we spent like a week apart and we were like, this is the longest we've ever gone in 3 years. Yeah. And then she's texting me every 3 seconds. And she's like, Taryn, I was just thinking.
I think though the sister word, I think like really does like explain it.
And I'm kind of a huge fan of the Snapple thing as a fidgeter. Like I got ADD. Yeah. It's the Snapple bottle.
You come to the right place for ADD fidgety people.
Yeah. Oh man, boy, my ADD. I'm like realizing that I actually have it. Like, it's like when people say they have it, I'm like, oh no, you have it. Like today at practice, oh my goodness, it was so embarrassing. So we're doing like you serve, 1 player 4 balls, switch to the left side or right side, and then we do that, and then it's with the Canadians, Shakhtar and Deering, and then you play it out from there. That classic drill where it's like you do your own side out, play it to 21 from there. And I think it was like 24 or 26, 25. Like there was a lady walking by and she had like a little product and she takes a photo next to like the ball. And I was like, I wonder what product that is. And I was like, and then Sam starts walking to the net and I was like, oh, Sam's at the net. Like, all right. I was like, maybe I should tell Andy not to pass any different because Sam's walking to the net. And this is all like while Dan's like tossing. But I'm like, I wonder what product it was. Oh, Sam's at the net. Here we go. And then I just overpass. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I can't process this. Like this was all like in less than a second. My brain was like, let's think about this. And I find that happens like sometimes with practice when you don't have music, but you started with music. Yeah. My brain is like, wait, the energy we used to.
We had Sweden right off the bat. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting used to a little bit of structure here with Sam and like pressing and like, dealing with the pressure of like my own mental pressure. If it's my first tournament, I need to perform well. Boom, we have Sweden. Right, and coach is coming up with a game plan, and he's kind of like, new to the men's game as well, and like we're not sure what we're gonna do. And I'm like, all right, so I have to go up, and I have to flash this way, and I have to run over this way, and I have to seal the line, and Sam has to slide this way. It was like my first match ever where it felt like a double game plan because it wasn't like, okay, this is what we're doing on the third contact. We're gonna serve here and get them in this position, and if this, no, it was like I have to take care of the 2. Read the cue, then go to 3. Oh, they hit on 2. And it's like, and then if they hit on 2, based on a strategy, it's like, do I take that or does he take that? Okay, third ball, if I don't go and I commit to the third, what is he? It was like mind blowing.
It's also like the starting position for a defender. Like sometimes you want to start like 10 feet away from where you are. But if where you want to be for the option is 10 feet away, you can't get to the spot you're supposed to be for the other one if you have like an intricate dive move or something going on.
I felt like a rookie. I was like flashing this way, not jumping to like try to sell the 2 and then still be able to close. I was like, I'm doing this for the first time, and I was like, wow. It's good for them because like it was so much for me to think about when it came to strategy.
What helps you get into that zone?
Honestly, a lot of it. I loved playing with Chrissy, and I think it was because I was able to get into that zone a lot because of her energy. Yeah. Like I love humans, and I think that's why I struggled so much last year. But I love like the camaraderie, the energy, the eye contact. Like I like feed off that. I feed off the crowd. Like I love energy. I'm a hoop-de-doo dog girl. So I think that's like really what gets me going. It's like it's not about like the meaning of the game or like any of that. It's just about like the energy, like of my partner or anything. Like it gets me going.
Well, how was it being on the court together the first time?
I mean,
shit.
Terrible. I enjoyed it. It was obviously our first 2 events, but you could see that there's like a tease, but there's like a bunch of, there was periods of time where I felt like, you know, we're doing things that we've been working on, what we want to do, and taking the path that we want to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously a little bit inconsistent. The first tournament wasn't great. I struggled personally, like side out wise. I was probably a little too amped up. Not quite as prepared as I could have been as well, but
you didn't know the random Frenchie had a 45-inch vert in sand.
Did not realize that guy was really like ridiculous blocker. Like, that guy is going to be.
He jumps higher than Dan.
Oh, for sure. He's like Mole up there, dude. Like, I watched the video and he has his chest over the net.
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't
legit touching nipples to the top of the tape.
Yeah.
Started that game down like 6-0 or something, and I was like getting blocked, and I was like, this guy's not that. He's shorter than me. He's not.
You're like, I'll just hit high hands.
Never
hit his wrist.
Never really got adjusted too well after that. I was like, I swear I can get this, but then. It was good. It was good learning lessons. And then I thought the second tournament we competed super hard. We're in every single match. Won a crazy qualifier, which there's obviously just like incredible teams everywhere. Those Austrian teams are both really good. And then I felt like we could have a couple little things swung our way. We could have won any of those 3 matches.
It's just nice to be able to do the things that you love, have a family, have a couple of kids that are like just obviously amazing. Play volleyball, live your life, work a full-time job. Like,
pretty good life.
Yeah, I can't complain. You know, it's a long road from Huntington, from where in Huntington, but it's everyone has their own path, everyone has their own journey, and like you kind of find what makes you you.
Yeah,
and just keep riding the wave.
Love that.
Keep riding the wave.
Keep riding it.
It's insane. One of my favorite stories with him, and he brings it all the time, is they were playing in Brazil on the court. It was like 140 degrees, just ridiculous. You know, they drink, he said you could drink water and just you feel it sweat out. And you're just sitting in the box and like you can't help yourself. If the water's going in, you're either sweating it out or peeing it out. It doesn't matter. Just it all looks the same.
Right.
And Randy, you know, it was second game or third game and Randy's like, I can't go anymore. And he's like, just get on the court, play the next point. That's all you have to do. They play the next point. And Randy's like, I can't go anymore. Get on the court, play the next point. They put it in. I think it was a Brazilian team, but the other team forfeits. They cramp and they're done. And you know, it's like everyone's going through it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that's what you have to understand is you're in the doghouse, they're in the doghouse.
Yeah.
I love practicing.
I love that.
I love getting better. And I truly believe that I am still getting better despite like age or how long I've been playing, whatever. I really do think that I'm getting better. I love working hard. Like, honestly, this might be like an old person thing, but like nothing aggravates me and brings me more joy than seeing a younger kid like give up on a ball. And then like me be like, no, I am going to lay out for this. Like, how dare you not make a full effort on this ball? Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It's just like, I love working hard.
Yeah.
If I'm not dying at the end of a practice, I'm like, I didn't do enough today. So yeah, I enjoy the process of getting better. It's not anything like when I was younger, I loved games.
Yeah.
Like game day, live for that. I like the day-to-day process of getting better now, I would say more than competition.
Have you always been just this like as curious? I think you're probably one of the more curious people I know.
I have a curious streak, definitely to me. It's kind of interesting where it comes from. It's nice to have it about everything because then it's just like nothing's boring. You have a lot of job opportunities that are like passionate about. You can be passionate about because you're just curious about everything. So as long as there's some system that has like a general semblance of like order to it and like it's just if you're just curious about how those things work, then you can kind of go into any field and just learn how things work and kind of manipulate it favorably to make money if it's a business or just win volleyball games or whatever. So Yeah. But it's like, sometimes it comes and goes. Curiosity is a special gift, and it's just a gift. It's kind of, you can kind of fan it into flame, which you should, but the spark is kind of like, it just comes from God. Like, you can't really control it that much. You can expose yourself a lot, though. Yeah. That's what you can do. So I try to do that with stuff, but
I had a really crazy experience though the other day at practice. Like Misty like came in for a couple of drills, and I was like in my head like, what is going on? Like
Misty jumped in practice?
Yeah, just for like a couple of reps with me, and I was like like, this is so, I was like, be cool, don't double the set, like don't. Yeah, it was really crazy because the first beach volleyball I ever watched was like her and Kerry in London, like ever, and I was this little like 13-year-old or like, you know,
it's wild.
It's pretty mental.
Damn.
Yeah,
Like,
I think my mentality more was like, I want to make sure I'm outworking everyone else. And I understood that, like, if you're the number one seed or you're the team that people are trying to catch, like, they're working as hard as they can to make gains on you. If you don't work as hard as them or harder than them, they're going to catch you, right? So, like, I would see somebody out on a Saturday doing a beach workout, you know, and so then I started doing beach workouts on Saturday, and it wasn't just like one player, it was everyone. Like anytime I saw somebody doing something, I was like, I'm gonna do more than them. So I ended up doing a lot. And like but I mean, thankfully my body held up, and I really did spend a lot of time recovering and taking care of my body. But I didn't feel like I was necessarily the bar. I just felt like I had to stay ahead of the bar that everyone else was setting, you know?
That makes sense.
I'm just like super grateful that I got to spend those years with Storm. Right. Because like before then, Carly was, I mean, in all honesty, Carly was doing most of the parenting. She spent most of the time with Storm. Right. Madison and I were so busy with what we were doing in our work. And then it's weird, like you just don't understand like what the other side is going through and how hard, even though it's like you're just spending time with like a little baby, and at that sometimes they can't even move, and it's like, okay, it's not even that hard, like what are you complaining about? And then it flips and you're like, oh, this is impossible, so like can you please just help me a little bit?
And she's coming home from work, like I
know.
My body's crushed. My mind's crushed.
I know.
It's not like, here you go.
I know. And there are times where I'm like asking for a break, but like she's the one who should need the break. You know, like she's playing like a 5-set match. Like, can you just like put her to bed this time or whatever? So like gaining that perspective also is like amazing because I feel like just understanding that side of things like makes life a lot better for everyone.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And you asked like what my favorite part of playing on the beach is. It's 100% being able to attack and like the creativity that comes with that, because it's, as a setter, I love running an offense and like making something happen that's really hard and you know, having to adjust to attackers. Like I love the challenge in that, but on the beach, being able to score, like, oh my God, I'm like, I fucking want to be served every ball. I'm like, just serve me. I love it. I just love it. It's so fun. And I think it's because I've played 20 years of volleyball, but like the first few years I was hitting before I went to college, but since like I stepped into the college gym, 5-1 setter, like go, if you want to go anywhere, you're going this direction. And so I miss hitting. And that is just something that I think it's so fun. Right. I love that part of it.
I mean, blocking and I remember and as a setter, setters, you guys are always, you guys pass that free ball. And you're like, set me! Reward him!
So true.
My one chance!
Played a lot of sports growing up, especially like basketball too, because my mom played and stuff. But there's just something about like beach that I always kind of like felt like it was home. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I love like nature and being outside, and so like the ability to be like competing and playing and look out at the ocean and like reset for me is like just so cool. Like I just don't, there's like not many like sports like scenarios that you can like emulate. that situation. But
it's just, it's such a blessing to have won 3 in a row. Like, it hasn't really even sank in.
Gotta update your shirt.
Yeah. Gotta update
his shirt for the viewers and listeners. It says back-to-back national champs, but now it's got to be back-to-back national champs.
Yeah, we got to print the new shirt, but more importantly, get some downtime. It's been busy because it's awesome. It got so much exposure, when we got back. It was fun. We got the twins on SportsCenter, which was a lot of fun.
And the twins are Nicole and Audrey Norse.
Yep. Nick and Audrey, and just did a lot of media with local stuff in LA, and we actually got invited to the White House last week. And went to the White House with some other championship teams. That was really great. And just doing fun stuff. I actually got to go to the LAFC game where they have the Falconer. Have you ever seen that? Where they have an honorary person launch their Falcon. So you get to put the glove on and the thing, and it flies around and swoops down. And it's just such a cool thing. And just having some fun, doing some stuff.
Go watch Kobe talk about Michael.
Yeah.
And what did he learn from Michael? Michael was great, but he didn't start like that.
Right.
He had all the talent and the ability, but the guy put in a ton of work. He studied all of his opponents. He knew if you took a step to your right, you were going to do this. So he knew based on the way that the team was going down the court, retreating to play defense, that there was a gap over here. And if he set himself up there for the pass, that he could run this move on the guy and score. That's next level thinking, right? So that took his ability and his athleticism and enhanced it because he was so clean on his fundamentals, and clean on all the technical aspects of it. So to me, I don't want to say you're doing a disservice to your athletes because they're going to get where they're going to get, but if you can enhance what they have by hammering home all those other things, they're just going to be better.
Yeah.
And then they can be creative and do what they're really talented at on top of that.
It's Ikigai. That's what people keep telling me. Ikigai, right?
I love that concept.
Yeah.
And for the listeners who don't know, can you explain what Ikigai is?
I think you could probably, isn't it,
So it's like something that you like to do.
Yeah.
Something that you're good at, something that you can make money at, and something that is good for the world.
Oh, so you don't do that at all, do you?
And never. Never heard of
it. That's why you smiling ear to ear every single day.
I know. It's so funny. People will be like, "Man, you're such a happy guy." I'm like, I can't think of one reason why I would be unhappy for 1 second in my life right now.
Yeah, I'll say so. I always tell people this. I feel like in beach volleyball, if you're paying to stay in hotels when you can't afford it, you've done the whole thing wrong. Granted, if you can afford it and you want to stay in a hotel, that's different. But if you're having to pay for a hotel everywhere you go, you've done volleyball wrong. You haven't made the connections you were supposed to make. You haven't you know what I mean? You're supposed to have friends in every state, in beach volleyball. So that's how I feel anyway.
Yeah.
Another thing that just I grew up with, my family, is I was like, okay, this is going to be a team that we want to be close-knit and like a family. Because, I was moving across country to come. I didn't know one person.
Right.
And my family just bonded by hard things. And my dad would make us race around the block or do sand dunes. Yeah. And so we do this conditioning test that I think is a pillar of our program that is really hard, and they don't look forward to it, but when they accomplish it, they feel like they've done something that's they didn't think they could do. So we add a little bit of that, and I think it brings mental toughness. So I don't know what people think of our program when they look at it. I just know from the inside out, we just want to be, I guess, a family that works hard.
Yeah.
And so it's not for everybody, but I think it's been successful and gives the young women that I coach just a lot of confidence going in and trying to play professional or whatever they're going to do. They do a lot of hard things at Florida State, and but they have a lot of support and a lot of people that care about them. And so I think that's kind of something that we tried to bring to the program.
Volleyball is only going to get you so far at the sport of volleyball.
Right.
You have to have so many people don't have plans or after what they're doing. And so
that's why they play still, probably.
And that's why they still play, because they just don't a lot. There's some people who do have an idea, but there's a lot of people who don't have an idea what they want to do after. And so they just keep playing because they're just kind of almost, I don't want to say spinning their wheels, but it's they don't have, other things that they are as passionate about, which is totally fine. It's their thing. But for us, that's something our parents always were very big. It's okay, get your education. You know, obviously volleyball, we put a lot of time and effort and stuff, and we still spend a ton of time. Even our business, it's all about volleyball. No matter what we're doing, it's about volleyball.
Yeah.
But we also are like, you know, in the background, like we want to continue being involved in volleyball and doing something that we have, you know, control over in a sense. And that's why, like, even coaching college, like I've gone back and forth about it. I'm like, you know, that lifestyle, I don't know, you know, it's difficult. College coaching is a difficult lifestyle. And I know that. I love it, and I love the aspect. My dad was a college coach. But for us, having a business, I think, is important to us, and it means a lot to us, and also it provides a lot of value to the clubs as well, and they've noticed that. And so they've been like, they've made it easy, like, because we do have free time and they know it, and they've made it easy. Like, as long as we're playing well and we're performing well and we're putting in the time and effort, then they don't care so much that we're, you know, spending time on it as well.
Dude, it's funny. Every time we've had you on the podcast, you've leveled up.
Yeah.
Because like the first time we had you on was with A-Rob, I think.
Yeah.
And then it was
that was in the old house, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
And then it was after you got picked up by Billy.
Yeah.
And then it was after you won with Phil.
Yeah.
And now you're like one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cool to document
It is
your
trippy.
journey, man.
Yeah, it's been, I feel very lucky. I mean, the guys side, I feel like most of the guys are like really cool to play with. But I've definitely gotten some like really good partners that help me like get to where I am. So yeah, I feel like I obviously try to work hard, but I think everyone works hard. I think I just got fortunate to be put in the position I am. So it's been a cool ride. Hopefully it keeps going.
It was just through the whole game, like that feeling where, I mean, we played just super solid ball the whole finals, and there wasn't one point in the match that I can remember where it was like, like, I don't know about this. Like, we were just steady the whole way. Our self-talk to each other and with our coach, our whole team was like, everything was, we're going to win this, we're going to win this. And that was like our motto going into the tournament, and to still feel that during the finals, like, that's all you ever want when you're in the championship moment is believing in yourself, believing you're going to win.
Mm-hmm. Beach volleyball is harder than indoor. Like, you are so much more exposed, you know, like it's just you and another guy. And like, if you're not pulling your weight, you're exposed, you know, like that you can get targeted. You can, you know, like they'll serve you the ball. Like indoor, you have so much help.
Yeah.
Like they can hide you, or they don't have to set you.
They can sub you out.
They can sub you out. And so like to win a tournament like that, and like it's hard. Like every AVP, every tournament we played in this year is hard to win. And so to get it, to have it be Manhattan, under the conditions, playing Trevor and Theo, they've had our number all year. We've had to play them so many times.
Yeah.
And to play like what I feel like was one of our, I don't know, not our most perfect game, but just like everything was grooving and we were clicking and communication was on point and we were just going for it, you know? And I was dead tired, but like I looked across the net and I felt like they didn't want to be there. And like that made me be like, oh, I want to be here. Like I'm so gassed, but I have it in the tank to go to that next level. And Taylor kind of matched my energy there. And, you know, to get a team win, not only, you know, that day, but the night before and then the morning match when we weren't feeling our best. You know, we've kind of been known this year as the team that wants to go 3 all the time. But I guess you can embrace that and be like, hey, we got some dog in us. Like, you can kick us, but we're going to, like, kind of stay around and keep pushing back. We're not just going to lay down and give it to anybody. So, you know, that's kind of how we won it. Feels great.
It takes courage to really try.
Right.
That's the thing. I think a lot of times people can be drawn back because they're afraid of maybe failure or afraid of it not working out.
Yeah,
so
if you went all in and then
you
failed, that means that your
best wasn't good enough.
Yeah, was it worth it in the first place?
Right.
Yeah. Which I feel like that's our mindset going into everything is like just go all in because it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Because if you can get to the end line and look back and not regret any of the work that you put in, then it really shouldn't matter what the outcome is.
Yeah.
because that's fate. That was supposed to happen the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then it just goes back to like what your why is when you're going through like that. And let's say you don't hit your expectation that you wanted. You're playing and for us, we're playing to glorify God and that in our faith we're just really strong in our faith, and that's kind of why we do it. And volleyball is just so small. Life is so there's so much more to life, and so I think just knowing to kind of reset, ground yourself in that, or at least we do, that is also really, really helpful, and it allows you to fail forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Instead of just feeling like you've lost it all.
Right.
You're able to actually learn from it, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I've said this before, and I will say this to my dying breath. I think Casey Patterson single-handedly saved volleyball when they went out of business in 2010, 8 or 10, whatever, because his social media game was so on.
Yeah.
He had so many fans across the country because he dominated social media. And I honestly think when the AVP shut down and then the Cuervo Tour shut down and the Wide Open Tour disappeared, I honestly think it was Casey who saved the sport. I really do. I mean, I think he had so many fans that people would just go where he was. And then when they came back, obviously the other players started shining too, but I'll preach that forever.
I mean, he was the most popular player of his generation, and he didn't have the accolades of Jake or Phil.
Yeah.
But people came to watch Casey. Like my mom, the only volleyball player she knew when I started playing was Casey Patterson. She's like, "Oh, the guy with the hair."
Right.
That's what she knew. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I think his influence helped save the sport. I think him and Top Gun.
That's so sad.
For sure, blocking is the hardest skill in volleyball. I've always thought that.
Really?
Yeah. Defense in general is so much easier, just from my experience doing both. Maybe just because I'm a little undersized as a blocker, so it's tougher. But I've always thought that blocking is the toughest skill in volleyball.
What do you
beach
think
volleyball.
makes blocking harder than defense?
I mean, there's so many factors you gotta read into. You gotta see the set, if it's off, if it's tight, if it drifts here, if it's drifting there, if the hitter's gonna hit or shoot. Because if he shoots, you're not really supposed to get that ball, right? The guy's trying to shoot over you.
Right.
And even in general, the hitter has the advantage every single time. So I think that's why. And you're the first line of defense, technically. So the defender just gets the scraps in the back.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Do you think, and as competitive as you are, though, I feel like you like having control over the match as much as possible. And I think a blocker has more control over the match than defense because, as you mentioned, it's the first line of defense.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you miss that at all?
A little bit. I do miss stuffing balls,
I thought you were going to drop a name.
For sure. That's I think one of the better feelings in volleyball is to just stuff a guy, and scream at him right after. Yeah. Versus, getting a sick dig and then you got to still transition it away.
Which half your digs are shots. So
yeah.
Too easy, buddy. You have plenty of time to drop a
walk
drop
right
dialogue.
in there. Thank
you. Well, even when you were blocking, though, it seemed like shot blocking was a little more comfortable for you. Or just the way that your brain processes it. You wanted to swat shots.
Yep.
More so. You definitely got your fair share of bounce blocks here and there, but it seems like your brain's almost just wired for shots.
Yeah, I think just coming into that reading defense mind is just kind of waiting and seeing. But also since I'm kind of undersized, penetrating and then guys can go OT still hitting wise, it's a little tougher. So then delaying and waiting for that shot, even if it's a pretty high shot, sometimes if you delay it long enough, you can at least get a finger on it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've made the perfect progression from blocker to defender because you guys split blocked for 4, 5 years?
Almost 5.
I think 5, but it was COVID.
4.5, yeah.
Kind of split in there.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, how's the physicality stuff? Because now I'm going back to blocking. I got what I asked for. I remember it being harder, but it is. How's that physically feeling?
Yeah, it's weird because I feel as a blocker, you
you're jumping more, but you're also like not running around as much,
right?
You know,
yeah.
So it's a little like give one, take one kind of thing.
It
like
could depend on how the game is going, like what kind of game you're playing. You know, if hitters versus shooters.
Yeah, like I've noticed, like you could kind of take off some energy, like as a blocker, like I've noticed when I'm getting tired as a defender, like I'll start to stand up, and then that really messes with our defense because I'm standing up and not being able to go places. But as a blocker, you know, you're always kind of in that position. You don't have to maybe get so low on a block, so you can kind of take a little something off on a play.
Well, your blocker has the lowest load or the highest load. Actually, you and Theo have the highest. Like you don't get very.
Oh yeah.
Your butts are like.
Theo's
like
even, but he's even springier.
He's like,
so
bing.
He can fucking
dude,
get up like nothing on
it's crazy how fast he can get over the net
without like taking that load.
Yeah,
but
I'm like touching the sand. He's like 2 feet from.
He just gets like a slight hinge and then he's up.
And then like just diving for balls, you're like tweaking different muscles there as opposed to just more jumping as a blocker. So I think it's just kind of like they're both got their pros and cons for their taking energy out of you, but once it took me a while to kind of get the body adjusted to doing defense full time for sure. So anytime you're doing something new, you're going to be adjusting. So
there's a great quote. The guy said, "Be someone people can rely on at a funeral." You know, like
good one.
Be you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go cry after and behind, but be the pillar in there, stand straight, and you know. And I think that's for me. I feel like it's all of life just kind of is going by for those moments. Like the whole thing is just set up for that opportunity, and so let's see how you operate. You know, you have to go through your whole life and deal with all this stuff so that you can have a few brief moments of testing to see. I mean, and maybe some situations induce it more, but it seems like we go through life and then you have a couple opportunities to how you're going to behave when you get a little squeeze,
Sometimes you almost,
for everybody.
What I've been learning over and over, and you guys know because you talk to people all the time, is every best person I know in their field of like, okay, let's put it in quotes, health and wellness, they're saying, let's take out the things that keep you from being successful. They're not adding more things in because people are already overwhelmed. So I think for both of us, and we do it differently and in some ways similar, it's like, how do we get to the essential parts of what we're talking about? Keep it simple, but then keep an open mind to keep learning so you get new input. But try not to get turned upside down or overcomplicated by the new input.
Well, and I feel like we're getting scienced out too. We're getting overwhelmed with data, and I feel like I want to come from more experiential. Yeah. Like, tell me about what you've been doing and how you've done it and what works for you, and first of all, that'll be a simpler way, right? Because you're going to if you're doing it, it's probably pretty simple because nothing we're doing is that complicated. And so, let's have it be more experiential. And I always like, for me personally, I think just learning more with it's like, why is the Bible full of parables? I mean, because we can apply those so easily. And so I think, I feel like we complicate it. We have so much to deal with and so many things we're trying to juggle at once, just in this new, more convenient world. It's nice to have things be more simplified, like just simple, hey, put this, drink that, do this. Just do some simple things that can really have long-term benefits. And then what are those things that we can do put into our lifestyle, like into our daily living? Like if it's too elaborate, how are you going to do it? Like if you have to go and, catch the thing in some place and milk the cow at the noon moon at the thing. It's just like, you're going to lose me. We're not going to be able to pull it. So, let's make it, applicable, easy to do, implement, and show me some sort of experiential evidence, like you've done it and it's been great for you, because that would be enough for me to at least try it. And it might not work for me because we're all different. We have different needs, and I mean, there's some things that we can all use that we know in health and wellness. We know you got to be hydrated. We know we got to have good solid food. You got to have good sleep. You need to have, you got to have physical. I mean, you have certain baseline things that don't seem to be changing. Some of this other stuff, it used to be good in the morning, but now it's good at night, and now it's not good at all. And there's things that change, but certain things seem to be that won't change. They're not. Gravity's gravity, water's water. I mean, until that stuff is different, and then we're going to be in a different planet, and then it's all going to be.
And you can't hack your
different
way.
Rules.
I think that's one thing we're in agreement on. Is like we always say the hacks only work when you've done a lot of the right things already, and then maybe you get an extra 1% or 2% with this hack. But it's never a substitution for work and a practice.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information out there now, and so what happens is people go, I don't know what to do. And they have so much knowledge, but they don't have a practice.
Right.
And so ultimately, I think the practice, the system in place is more important than I have all this data. It's like, okay, that's incredible, but what's your practice made up of?
Yeah. When people are trying to hack their way around the work. So they want to hack their way right around the work. Like, here's the work, do the work. They want to just hack their way around the work and go just right to like, let me just hack it and I don't need to work.
Right.
I'm like,
it never works.
Wrong universe.
And anything that you can get to via shortcut is probably not worth getting to.
On top of it, then you don't even get the fulfillment of the whole reason why, even if the work's not that great, the work itself will bring you some sort of feeling of, joy or accomplishment or just make you tired.
It's like, have you guys...
My favorite memory from... I think it was in Sochi.
Mm-hmm.
We had been talking a lot as a team. We're diving into a lot of different volleyball things and a lot of off the court things, really trying to find, our stride, our team, getting everything to click and work. And Jordan kept using the language, breakthrough is coming. And we're both just, I think, really trying to hold on to that. Like, oh my gosh, like I feel like every tournament's an uphill battle. We've got country quotas, qualifiers. It's been a grind.
Yeah.
This whole process. And I think it was after we won our quarterfinal match.
In Sochi?
Yeah. I'm sitting in the bench and I was just like reiterating that, phrase in my head, like, yes, breakthrough is coming, let's go. And I heard clear as day God say to me, no, breakthrough is here. And then we go and win 2 gold medals in a row. So it's special moments like that I love what I get to do.
Yeah.
And just make it's hard to describe, like, the feelings, Yeah. But that's what, gets me up out of bed in the morning and keeps me going, and always, praying for more moments like that. And I feel like that's kind of been our language the last month. Like, breakthrough is coming. We've been now Hughes and I, really diving into things and super excited to execute some of the things that we've been working on. And I feel a very similar tide, like breakthrough is coming, and I'm like, is it time? Are you gonna say it? Like, I'm ready for it, Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah.
So I got a random text, and I had her number saved. It's the funniest thing. I scroll back, and I had sent this text to Alex Kleinman as like a nobody, just like, hey girl, if you ever need someone to shag or like jump in at your practice, you and April's practices, I'm around. Like, I was like, wow, that's some audacity right there.
Honestly, I think that's like a huge sign of like someone who's gonna make it.
Yeah.
Is like when they're young enough and they're like willing to just be like, hey, can I come out and be around? Like, I'll make myself helpful. Anyone that's ever reached out to me in that way, I'm just like 100%, like, I'll help you any way you can, because I know that you want it, and that probably just made an impression. Even if you didn't end up making it to practice, she didn't end up telling you when to come or whatever, it for sure probably made an impression. And she saved your number.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, she had my digits. So I forget when this was, but I got a text from Alex saying like, hey, can we talk on the phone? And my heart is like,
what does she want to talk to me about? Like, what's going on? And so we talked on the phone, and she just mentioned, like, based on who signed up, like, I see that you and Kelly would not make it into world champs. And, you know, I just have this itch to get back in the sand. So would you want to sign up with me for the wild card? Like, I don't know if we'll get it. I don't know what is going to happen, but I want to see if we get it, like what we can do. And she made a comment, like, I had practiced with her once, one day, and she said, you know, you played really big with a lot of energy, and like I've watched you play before, and like I just think we could do really well if we can play together. And I was like, this is insane. Like, what? So I said, like, thank you so much. Like, I'm honored. Like, I need to talk with my team about it just for transparency and get back to you. And so then we sign up for the wild card. And I'm praying the night before the results come out, and I'm like, whatever you want. Like, either way, I want to, like, have open hands about this. And then the next morning, it was like, we got the wild card. Woo! So then it was after Chicago, it was like, okay, we're going to train together full time. And who's our coach going to be? What uniforms are we going to wear? Did you book flights yet? Like, what airline do you fly? Like, just so much logistics. I've never talked so much logistics with someone in these last, like, 2 weeks as I have with Alex.
Yeah. Oh, she's so on top of it. Her and April were just, like, everything's scheduled out. I mean, long-time veteran, both indoor and on the beach.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to imagine it's kind of eye-opening, like, whoa.
And you got to see how April operates. And, you know, April's not messing around.
Some of that from April, yeah.
Yeah. It's been incredible just being with her at practice, and then recently we've had April helping us a few days as well. So to have April and Alex talking back and forth, and I'm just sitting there like, this is nuts. Like, I want to have more of that, like, awe factor, I guess, but also aware of, like, Alex has been awesome of, like, we are on the same level.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what I've done. We are a team. Like, we are completely peers. Like, you give me feedback, I give you feedback. And she really is like, I want you to feel empowered. Like, we are a team. I was like, that's so awesome and so kind.
The players are all jacked up. As soon as I mentioned the word $2,000, everybody gets excited.
Oh yeah,
everyone gets.
You put fours and $2,000 together.
Yeah,
my friend, you will have every volleyball player.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yep.
How do I get it?
I could have done it for $500, but I really wanted to make it like
a legit
deal where guys want to come down and play.
Yeah.
You know, they actually want to. You know, they do. They just want to play. I'd want to play. I mean. You know, I'd have played for $500, but this was an add-on. I'm trying to help the players is what we're trying to do. They don't make a lot of money during the year, and you struggle. So now you go, God, I got a $2,000 prize money.
Right.
That's friggin' great.
It is great.
Yeah. So that was my give back. I've always wanted to help the sport in any way I can, either coming down to tournaments, going to the Hall of Fame deal every year. So I always wanted to feel bad for these guys. We took all the money. Well, actually, Dodd and Hovland and Karch and Randy and St. John and Steffes and you know all those guys took all the money. So it's amazing, but you know, hopefully this format we could turn into some sort of league. I've got some ideas on that, and selling New York, Dallas, all these franchises where actually the owners pay the players.
Yeah.
So there's really no prize. You know, it's like a league. So it's like these guys are buying pickleball leagues, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Fuck. These guys are way better athletes than those guys. It's a way better show to watch for me.
Phil told me, like, you should get a green card and play AVP. And I'm like, well, you think I'm good enough? He said, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, that's my new goal. Like, if Phil thinks I could play AVP, like,
I'm going.
I want to try it.
Yeah.
So I actually, like, I dedicated everything to that, and I really tried to work different ways and improve my game, and, you know, like, obviously logistics to be allowed to play AVP. And now I'm excited to, you know, live my dream. Like something that I was dreaming, I'm still dreaming, but I'm living it now, you know, like I can't believe honestly that I'm playing with the top players, and, you know, like I'm having great partners, and I'm not just watching, I'm actually going there to win. And for me, it's just like amazing opportunity coming from, you know, Serbia, where we were always hoping, okay, another chance to at least play on the world tour.
Yeah.
Now this is like, for me, actually a chance, you know, to like live that professional beach volleyball life and, you know, like compete with the best?
I think it was, like I said, I didn't feel like I played any different. And that's how I kind of felt like the first couple tournaments, like just a slight sense of frustration. Like, it's like, oh, like I feel like I'm right there.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like it literally quite was just like an opportunity away of like being able to like compete with some of these like good main draw teams. And so it didn't really shift my perspective. It kind of almost felt like validating, where I'm like, okay, like I'm not being delusional. Like
Right.
I am like right there. Cause I was also like, you know, practicing against these teams that I want to be competing against. And it's like, you know, like I'm beating some of these people at practice, like, and I know practice is different from competition, but it still felt like I'm like, like, am I crazy or is
Right.
it, like right there?
Yeah.
Apart from I did chase Bill around the court at Laguna trying to high five him. and we played each other in Denver with Logan, and afterwards, like, we were like, because we're fine, like it's
Right.
like, you know, it's just a show. But like in Laguna, like he's going, and I'm like, and every time you change sides, I'll start going one way. And I did it to Andy in Chicago. Was it Chicago or did we play them before that? And he was like, I almost didn't crack, but I managed to make him crack. And I'm like, yeah, great game. And like, play check as well. He's like, and then eventually he's like, he cracks a smile and he high fives me. And I'm like, yeah, that's a little point for me. But Bill remains solid. He is.
Yes.
I chase him around and I'm like to the crowd, I'm like, oh, moo. But it's just part of the game.
I love that, dude. You're Imagine Chicago against Andy and Miles when you ran around the court and did the pickleball thing.
Yeah.
Dude, I was laughing.
Yeah.
Just like I am now.
I was like, I gotta get this one in.
Oh my gosh! And then Cody's reaction, just like,
I didn't see his reaction until like I seen it back on footage, and he's just like, yes. I was like, yeah.
you guys, you're like the match made in heaven.
Yeah, like I'll say like at one of the games I was like, yo man, like, did I say anything in that game like I shouldn't have to you? Because like at one point like I went up and I blocked and I was like, you bitch, and like to him, because he's standing in the wrong place as a defender, and I know as a defender I always go to the wrong place, and he was like, nah, we're good, and I'm like, perfect, good. But yeah,
you guys are great.
just like a couple of idiots that like, yeah, as soon as it's on.
Who are just really good at volleyball.
Cody's really good at volleyball. I'm good at it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm excited. Like, I know we're not going to the Olympics, but at the end of this year, I finally found my, like, this sounds lame, but like passion for the game again, where it's like, I like to travel and compete internationally because I want to be one of the best players in the world. So whether I'm going to the Olympics or not, it's still really cool to be able to go and play in those Elite 16s or the challenge events against the other top teams in the world and see how we stack up and try to get better. And it just seems more process oriented. Like, I just remember why we like doing it and why it's fun. And so Olympics or no Olympics, like, still want to be the best.
Yeah.
Just one tournament every 4 years. Like, maybe, the next 4 years, we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, I shot for a full year for free. There's this basketball. It's basically an open run in by USC. It's called Air West. And I just DM'd them one day. I was like, hey, can I come in and shoot? I shot every week for a year. Never charged them. But it was just like my sanctuary. I wanted to do it and try it. And
yeah, it was building value for you, right?
Yeah.
And bonus that it was working for someone else. And
yeah. And it was cool. I mean, they had some NBA guys come through, and they're well connected in the basketball world. They're all around the Drew League. And
just kind of like pick up.
Yeah, it's basically like anyone
like
that's
level.
Yeah, you have to be like a pro level, even if it's European or something. Yeah. But it was every Wednesday from 7 to 9. I'd go after my day job, and then went home and edit and gave them the video.
The plan is to play pro volleyball, and then everything else will kind of be around that. But yeah, the plan is pro and Olympics. Like, that's the goal. And so whatever happens around that happens. But that's the center. That's the focus.
But beach is a two-legged sport.
Dumbbells, heavier dumbbells.
Yeah, for sure. So you're going to want to have like a squat pattern. I always recommend front squats unless you're the very strong type. Then you're going to have to go back squat. But front squats, if you can get your wrists or your comfortable arms, I like those just because it's a little more knee dominant. but you just stay upright. When we jump, we stay upright when we sink down because we're still looking at the ball, right? So we have to be able to stay upright. So I love front squats for that.
Does it make your hip go back more by having the weight there or less?
You stay more upright. So back squat, the hips have a little bit more extension. Yeah. So both are great. But then once you get strong at that a little bit and you can move some load, then start adjusting the load to where it's going to be based on your angles, and then start exploding with it. Like, can I move this weight fast enough where I kind of pop off my heels a little bit? That's a great place to be. So that could be your squat pattern.
Live audience recording. Road to Paris. Rolling.
We're rolling. Again, appreciate you guys. Hit up Deanna for one of these epic t-shirts. Hope you have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. Stay safe. Shoots.